Okay, so before we get all the way into this, I wanted to give you an example of the use of this Longcat H3D binauralizer tool, which is one of these plugins here that you'll see on the left. So when we run that tool, and it's being used here on both the Montgomery and Edwards track, it brings up this dialog window, and it's got a dead room, some control settings that control the room ambience, and we've set that to basically a dead space. It has this nice nifty 3D animation feature, and when we bring up that feature, what you'll see are these little balls, and those represent the sound sources. And the two little side lobe balls on the left are some little additional speaking side lobes. They're little additional stereo added sources that make the sound a little more pleasant when you're playing it without headphones. So you also see that the track move, that what happened there was that Montgomery's position moves, and that's because of that read animation feature. So we're actually reading, the editor can manipulate those little balls in space during the performance, during the playback and mastering, and that's going to have the effect of changing the location of the sound source. So what you do is just grab it like this here and just move it during playback, and that'll have the perceived effect of the soundtrack moving in space. So that's a pretty handy tool. So that's these little read animation buttons right here. Okay, so let me just close that, turn that off. The other thing I wanted to show you was that on each track there's also an individual little adjuster for the channel gain. We can slide up and down. And in addition to that, let me open up one of these tracks here so you can see it a little better. You can take the little pen tool and you can draw using the envelope editing mode. You can raise and lower the individual signal envelope. There's also a full-up envelope editing tool inside of Cubase. And a nice feature, there's also undo. You can go ahead, you can just undo changes. Okay. So now we're going to look at the mixing console, and you can see that I've got all my tracks laid out here, and I have the conventional volume sliders for each track. Inputs on the left, and I got a master on the right, and the ones that have read automation have little green dots on them. So what I'm going to be doing is going back and going through and playing the tracks and making sure all the volume levels are good, so that I have good volume on my master mix. So you'll see that it shows the plugins for all of the channels, which is convenient. And also if I want to do the track automation here, I can automate the volume sliders up and down, and I can automate panning as well. You'll also notice that on that master channel there is both a compressor, sort of a final compression, and a limiter. And the limiter is just really a safety feature. So for any really loud peaks that I just can't deal with adjustment in the compressor, I'm going to just hard limit those to make sure that we never get over 0, so that we're always in a legal acceptable signal level.